Okay, question 4. I'll remind you that you can pause the video at this point, have a go at answering the question, then play the video through to see how you've done. That might be one way that might be useful for sort of learning the different pseudocode methods. So let's go ahead and annotate the question first of all, so identify the bits we need to pick out. So we have an input, we're entering some numbers. We need to enter 1,000 numbers, so that gives an idea that we need a for loop, because we know how many times the loop is going to iterate, or how many times it's going to repeat. We've got an output here, we're going to output the count, and then we've got some processing. We need to count how many times the number has been entered. So we're going to enter 1,000 numbers, which is going to count how many times 7 has been entered. So we don't need to do anything before the loop, so we can set up our loop structure for I assign 1 to 1,000, so that's going to give us 1,000 repeats. Inside there we need to input our number, so we'll go ahead and use the input pseudocode, and we will set up a variable called number. Good practice to declare variables as you use them, so I'm going to declare number as an integer. If you're doing this for an examination, it's not always a requirement to declare variables, constants and arrays, but certainly for the Cambridge board it is, but it's good practice anyway. Because we've put input number here, it's good practice again to put a message on the screen for our user. And we've set up the first part, so we've got our input and we set up our loop. Now we need to look at our processing, so we need to decide if the number 7 has been entered, so we can use a selection statement there, if. So if number equals 7, then we want to add 1 to the count. Now there's something we need to do here, because first of all we're going to need to declare this variable count. We also need to give count a value, because at the moment we're adding 1 to something that doesn't have a value. So count doesn't have a value anywhere in the program. So anytime you use a count or a total, it's important that at the start, after you've declared it, give it a value, initial value of 0. So now we're adding, initially we're adding 1 to 0 the first time we come across a 7. Okay, so that's going to work. So we need to complete our if structure here with an end if, and then we can complete our loop structure. Now at this point you might be quite pleased with yourself and think, I've finished, I've done well with this question. But if we check our annotations, we've done the input, we've done the for, we've done the process, but we haven't yet output the count at the end, so we'd missed that particular mark. So another useful reason for doing these annotations. So let's just go ahead and add some pseudocode to output the count is, and then the whatever the final variable for count is. Okay, thank you very much. On to the next question.